What's up, guys? Welcome back to Do It All Garage. I guess I'm going on a little rant right now. I just wanted to share an experience with y'all that I had, and it was about when one of my dirt bikes got stolen out of my garage. So it's about, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago now. I'm at home. I was in college at the time, full-time college student. I was buying and selling motorcycles on the side, to make some extra cash or whatever. And I was at home. I was writing a paper in my office. It was about 9:30 at night, and I come out to my garage and to take a quick break, get some air or whatever. And my dirt bike was gone, and I had no idea what happened to it. So I walk outside. I'm looking around. I was thinking some kid ran off with it or something. At the end of my driveway, there was a little boy's BMX bike, and I had no idea whose bike it was. I'd never seen it before or anything like that. So I called the police to fill out a report. I gave them the VIN number and everything and reported it stolen in case they found it or anything. And I guess the next class I had, I went to the computer lab afterwards up at Sam Houston State. What's up, Bearcats? And printed out about 350 or so flyers with a picture of my dirt bike and my information on it, and put out a $200 cash reward. Wasn't a ton of money, but I figured it might be enough to motivate some kid to rat his buddy out or something if he knew he stole it or something like that. So I had to try something, and especially at the time, $200 was a lot of money to me. And so I walked around my neighborhood in 100-degree Texas humid heat and hung a flyer on every single door in my neighborhood. And there's about 350 houses in my neighborhood. So it probably took me 2 or 3 days to do this. My wife helped me with it. And came up to this one house, and there was a girl, looked pretty young, she was standing out in her driveway, at the end of her driveway, as I'm walking up and down the street hanging these flyers, and she was out there talking on her cell phone. So I didn't want to go up and interrupt her and be rude, but I, kind of walked up and handed her a flyer and said, "Sorry to bother you," and I kept walking, got a few steps away, and she kind of put her phone down like that. She goes, "Oh yeah, I'll let you know if I see it." Wow, I said, "Okay, again, sorry to bother you, I appreciate it." Kept walking, kept hanging flyers up, and never, I kept my eyes out for it. Didn't hear anything for about a week or two, and then I get a phone call. That same girl was calling me from another neighborhood, maybe 15 miles away, maybe 20 miles away, and she calls me and she said, "I think I found your dirt bike laying in a ditch." So, okay, well, I'll be there in about 20 minutes. So I go over there, and sure enough, it's my bike. And she was asking me for the reward money, which was the deal, and I had no problem giving it to her. And I called the police so I wanted to fill out a report of where I found it and all that, and made sure that they had cleared the VIN number just in case I got pulled over with it afterwards or whatever. So we're waiting on the cops. The cop, we'd been waiting 20, 30 minutes at this point, and she keeps telling me I'd given her the money. I got a copy of her driver's license and stuff like that, and her phone number. And, she keeps telling me she's trying to be a manager at her job, and she don't want to be late for work, and she has to go. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, go ahead. That's fine if you got to go. I understand, and I appreciate you giving me my bike back and everything." And before she left, she told me that she saw some kid get pulled over by the cops the night before in a marina parking lot. It's like a lakefront neighborhood or whatever. They got a big marina and there's a big parking lot, and that's where they got pulled over, and she witnessed it. I didn't really think much of it, but I said, "Okay, cool, appreciate it." She leaves. Cops show up about 10, 15 minutes later. And, I filled out another report, and I told him what she said to me. And he said, "Okay, well, we'll call the front office and we'll get a hold of the officer that was patrolling last night, and maybe he can identify the kid that was pulled over." I said, man, that's a good idea. I was so happy to get my bike back, I didn't even think of doing that. So we got a hold of that officer, got him on the phone, and he asked me to describe the girl that turned it in to me. And this girl had a very distinct look. Um, Not to be rude or insulting to anyone out there or offensive or anything. That's, I don't want to do that. But it was very clear that she was a lesbian. Turned out she was 19 years old. From about 30 feet away, this girl looked like a 15-year-old boy. She had wearing a tank top, basketball shorts, dirty freaking, basketball shoes or whatever, haircut like mine, this short, literally, and you could tell she went out of her way to look like that, and that's cool if that's your thing, whatever, but that's what she looked like. She had a very distinct look, is my point. So he asked me to describe her, and I did, and he said that's who was riding it when I pulled him over. She was on it. It wasn't some other kid, it was her. It's like, oh my God, man. Oh shit. She just got my money and took off. So of course I'm calling her, and we're calling the place that she told me she worked at. They'd never heard of her. She's not answering her phone, obviously. She stole my freaking bike. But I had her name and her information, and it turned out that the house that she was standing in the driveway at and talking on her phone when I walked up and handed the flyer, that was her mother's house, and her two older sisters that were quite a bit older than her lived there as well, and she was just kind of temporarily staying there. Well, my dirt bike was in that garage the whole time. The whole time. When I walked up and handed her that flyer, my dirt bike was 15 feet behind her in the garage, and she knew it. Okay? So she was probably freaking out at that point, thinking if somebody saw it, she was going to go to jail. But anyway, it turns out that the bike that was laying on the curb in front of my house, when I came outside and noticed my bike was missing, was her mother's next door neighbor's son's bicycle. So before she came in and robbed my garage, basically, she broke into her mother's next door neighbor's house, which, through all of this happening, I met the guy, and we're actually still friends to this day. I mean, this is about 10 years ago or so. But she broke into his garage, stole his son's bicycle and a whole bunch of his tools. He had a nice Ryobi tool set, 10, 12 tools in there. She stole all of that and piled it all up in her garage. Then was riding around my neighborhood looking for other stuff to steal on his son's bicycle that she had just stolen. So she leaves that at the curb in front of my house, walks up in my garage. My garage door was halfway open. Not 3/4 of the way, not all the way. It was halfway open. I would have to basically get on my hands and knees to crawl under my garage door. It was that low. This girl weighed maybe 90 pounds soaking wet. She was a small person. She walks up, leaves the bicycle on my curb, walks up my driveway, crawls under my door, lays my dirt bike down on its side, drags it under my door, pushes it down the street, cranks it up, and drives it to her mother's house and stashes it in the garage. And they knew it was in there the whole time, but they didn't see the flyer. They didn't know it was stolen. She made up some story and said, yeah, my buddy's moving and it's his dirt bike and he wants to keep it here until he can find another place to keep it. And, she told him something like that. And so basically, when the cops found out where her mother lived, they went over there, found all this out, that my bike was in their garage the whole time, and they were looking for her. And I guess they found her about 2-3 months later. They pulled a car over, and she was sitting in the back seat, and they ran her driver's license number, and she had a warrant out for her arrest because of all this. She ended up doing maybe 3-4 months in jail, if that. And I got a call from the district attorney's office or whoever the prosecutor was. And, they said as part of my restitution, she has to pay me back the $200 reward money that I gave her. So I said, okay, that's great. And she ended up paying me back $50, and that was it. Not a penny more. And they didn't go after her for any more. She didn't get any punishment because she didn't give me my money back. Nothing happened. It's sad to say, This isn't the case every time, but sometimes the law does work in the criminal's favor. And again, this is kind of a rant, but it's also, I wanted to share my story with you. I couldn't have made this up in my wildest dreams. You know, you would have to be whacked out of your mind to walk up in somebody's garage in Conroe, Texas, knowing 90% of the people that live here are gun owners, okay, and walk up in someone's garage at 9:30 at night with both of their cars home, you know, in the driveway, all their lights are on, which mine were, and steal a motorcycle out of their garage. You just have to be absolutely crazy. So my point is, it happened to me, and it can happen to you, okay? Keep your stuff locked up. I actually keep a padlock on my garage door. I do not have one of those garage door openers. I've seen them broken into. I've seen locksmiths break into those things in like 15 minutes when people lock themselves out of their house. They're super easy to break into. I don't like them. I don't trust them. So I don't even have one of those. I manually open and shut my garage door, and I keep a padlock on the frame of the garage door so it cannot be opened from inside or outside. You would have to remove this lock first, or you would have to rip my door completely off the frame. And I doubt someone's going to go through that much trouble. So anyway, keep your stuff locked up. Do It All Garage. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you be so kind. I've got a lot more to come. And if you got any questions or comments, go ahead and drop them in the box and I'll get to them. I'd be glad to answer them. And again, thanks for watching. Have a great day.